Hello, everybody, and welcome to Film Seizure for the 300th time. I am Jeff Arbuckle. With me, as always, Jason Oliver. Jason, how's it going?
My name's Paul, and this shit's between y'all. I was going to try and rhyme something with Jason, but that's kind of a fool's errand.
Yeah, that one's, I mean, that's like trying to rhyme something with purple. Also with us, Chuck Moore. Chuck.
How are you?
Doing all right. Well, I know a few things that rhyme with Chuck.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
And one of those is used a lot in this movie that we're talking about here this week. Anyway, not that one. The other, the four-letter one, not the not the other one.
P-H-U-C-K?
Right. So this is our 300th episode of Film Seizure, guys. 300. I don't even know. Here's the thing. I don't know if I could name them all off the top of my head, but if you were to throw if you were to say, did you watch that one really weird Gary Busey movie called The Rage? I'd be like, yes. and yes, we did, but I don't know if I would have named it if I was like naming all of our episodes. So this is a bit of a, so it's a bit of a milestone here, guys. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's like 6 years.
Yeah.
I mean, and we took a 3-month break in there too.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've been at this for a bit.
Crazy talk.
It's a lot of hours talking to you assholes.
The good news is the other hours are spent time doing something most of the time we enjoy, right? If it's not a bad movie that Jeff picked.
Yeah. Or
I'm joking.
I live in the bad, so it's fine. It's fine.
I like a reason to go back and revisit movies that I haven't seen in a long time, and I like a reason to watch something I haven't seen before that I just haven't gotten around to seeing. Kind of like it helps me like recurate my life. It sprinkles in a little bit of new with a little bit of old, right? Keeps me in balance.
And whether or not we like everything we've ever covered, and obviously there's a tier list, right? There's the very, very best of what we've, talked about. And then there's the pretty good. It was like part of our lives or, whatever. And then there are some that, each of us for various reasons don't particularly care much for. But I think
we all like this one.
Well, yeah, I'm getting there, but no, I think that to kind of hammer home the point that you had, Chuck, it's time well spent, regardless.
Right.
I don't think any of us look at any of these movies and say, "Damn, I wish I didn't spend that 3.5 hours to watch the movie and talk about it."
Right.
But we have an all-timer like. Between this week and next week, we have 2 movies that are like absolutely positively the Gen X movies. And all of us being Gen Xers and all of us being of a certain age in 1994 where our mushy brains are ready to experience.
Your mushy brain is working on time tonight.
Yeah.
But they premiered in U.S. distribution 3 days apart.
Yeah,
crazy.
And we and these are movies that kind of inspire us at least in different points of our lives, I'm sure. And this one we start with 1994's Pulp Fiction.
Yep.
Perhaps one of the most influential movies of our lives.
This movie, as a 15 or 16 years old when I saw it, it exploded my brain. It changed my perspective of contemporary film and what it could be.
Yeah, Chuck, you and I are having to pick up the pieces of his brain in the backseat of the car after he saw it.
Yeah. I got shot in the face by Vince Vega when I saw this movie. It rearranged my brain. It made me. It's one of the movies that made me love movies, like really love movies, like want to learn about movies and follow directors and learn about the art craft, right? not just from, oh yeah, it's a purely entertainment standpoint. It was like, wow, it really really was one of those core movies for me.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if it isn't first, it's second or third in the most important movie experiences of my life. Like, for formulating my opinion of movies, and the first time I saw this, I was like, holy shit. And I'm just kind of rehashing what you said, Jason. I was like, I didn't know movies could be like this at all. And that, like, I don't know, blew me away. I saw it in the theater, and I was just, I think I sat through the credits without even like knowing they were going on, just sitting there, like kind of staring off into space, like, holy cow.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those films too, where, like, you know, it's detractors will call it like a mixtape. They'll call it derivative, or they'll call it, like, you know, unnovel. And sure, it's all of those things, but it wasn't at that time in the movie landscape. It was a fresh new take on all the things that it was derivative of.
Yeah,
and
it's an
all those
introduction.
things that it was derivative of, I didn't know about.
Right, it was an introduction of those.
It was an
things.
introduction. It was an entryway point into an entire universe of genre that I had no idea about. An entire universe of diverse filmmakers.
Unless you were a New Yorker in the 70s and spent every weekend on 42nd Street, you didn't know what this movie, you didn't know where this movie came from. You know, so, yeah, but yeah, and it's like, just to kind of, like, I did not see this in the theater. I didn't see it until it hit.
I didn't either.
Until VHS. I think I probably watched the screener. We'll talk more about working at a video store, I'm sure, next week, Jason. But I very, very likely I saw the screener when it came in, probably July or August or so of '95. But I was well aware of its, you know, of the reputation had preceded this movie.
Yeah.
And it was not disappointing at all. But like, for me, I don't know if I had ever really paid attention to a movie or really knew that movies could be told this way, where it's completely and totally out of order. But it doesn't matter that it's out of order. It's not like Memento, where there's a purpose why it goes backwards, right?
Well, it does matter in a sense. It doesn't matter narratively, like watching it, but it matters for the overall story.
Well, sure. I mean, like, because this movie is broken up into like chapters, right?
Yeah.
And like, but like, it does not matter really that the events are kind of taken out of order. Like, it's not going to change your experience watching the movie and saying, oh, well, you know, this happens at a different point in time than this happened that we just already saw. Or that this, you know, it's like, there's no, this is one of those movies where, and there have been movies and shows and all sorts of stuff throughout all of history where it's like the interconnecting story, right? Like I'm pretty sure that's something that Woody Allen had done many times before this, where you have such a large cast of people, or Robert Altman might have maybe even played with this at one point, where sometimes you just follow somebody else for a little while and then you come back to this other group. But it doesn't really matter that this movie is completely and totally out of order. It does not change your perception of what's going on. It doesn't change how you feel about the movie. It doesn't, you know, and I did read after watching the movie, I was like, oh, this is the order in which things actually take place. Okay, great. I was curious, but I don't need to see it in order, right?
Right. Well, that whole argument was another thing that the detractors like to point out, because a lot of people are like, oh, so novel that he told the story out of order, and then the detractors are like, oh, it's been done before. You know, Rashomon did it. The Killing did it. And it's like, could there be a more boring conversation than that? It's like, shut up. You know?
I mean, if that's the stuff you have to pick on, then you have nothing to pick on.
Right.
But what I will
It's
say,
exactly right.
but what I will say is those detractors probably ultimately got what they intended, because I did look at those movies. You know, I had never seen Kubrick's The Killing before. I had never seen Rashomon before.
Right.
And both of those experiences did kick off like new love and new pursuits of those directors, right?
Right.
Going back and watching everything that Kubrick made, going back and watching everything that Kurosawa made that I could get my hands on at the time, right?
But you just named two movies that preceded this movie by, I don't know, like four fucking decades.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
In 1994, Forrest Gump was told in order.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, I mean,
right.
Technically it was.
Well, and that's another great point. That's another great point. It's like it might not be a new shakeup, but it's a shakeup. Like movies at this point in time were very stale and very conventional. Like this was, you know, coming at the beginning of kind of that new indie film movement.
The new Hollywood.
The new Hollywood, right? And it was intended to it was a whole new team of army brats, movie brats, right? Like these were the new movie brats, and of course they were going to emulate the masters because they grew up on the masters. That's why they fucking make movies, is because that's what inspired them, right? So those criticisms are just stupid, and I just want to get that out of the way.
Well, that is interesting because I did look at like the Rotten Tomatoes, and I wanted to see, it's like, okay, who are the 9 who didn't like this movie? Now, granted, it
was mostly not critics, though. It was mostly like just
it was
snobby fucking movie snobs. Yeah,
exactly. Well, there's only one of these reviews that wasn't from the past 20 years. One of them was dated January 1st, 2000. So that could have been at the time that it was released or whatever. But like a lot of the people who are like, you know, it's like, I was looking forward to this like you wouldn't believe, but it all goes on for so long it's not witty. Well, you've probably been, the well has probably been poisoned, because this is why when people say the accursed, you have to watch this, Jeff, that's the moment I won't watch it.
Right.
Because the well's now been poisoned.
Well, you know? I do think that the reappraisal on this movie by Gen Z is going to be fascinating.
Well, it is, because one person did say, you know, it's like, you know, in his C- score, this was from 4 years ago or so, it says, understandably, some elements of Pulp Fiction have not stood the test of time. I'm sure we're going to talk about one of those things, you know, but at the same time, I mean, it would be, I don't know. There is something to be said about like, it's important why you should get upset when Criterion Collection rearranges or cuts out a line from the French Connection. Because it informs you of the people, it informs you of the place, and it informs you of a time. And I
want to defend the Criterion Collection real quick, just from a fact-checking standpoint. That was the version of the movie they were licensed. They didn't have a choice. Yeah.
Right. But like, that's fair. And, you know, I mean, but still, you know, it's like, it's why things like that become news stories, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason why, and you can certainly put something before a movie that says, hey, by the way, you might see something that's a little outdated here. That's okay. Just don't rearrange it. Don't.
I wanted one of my kids to watch this movie with me.
I would have been fascinated.
But timing didn't work out. But I could imagine like a million cringes. A million.
Oh, a million. I was at my wife's Christmas party for the nonprofit she's on the board of, and one of the younger board members, probably in his late 20s, and girlfriend, who was even a couple years younger than him, so let's say 25, we were talking about movies, and Susan and I brought up Christmas Vacation, right? And the 24-year-old woman was like, oh my God, that movie is so cringe. It is so bad. Like, the misogyny and this and that. And I'm just like, whoa, okay. I mean, I kind of feel like I'm
Right.
to social issues and the social pulse. Not to say that I'm like overly woke or anything, and not to say that I should even say that word because I hate it, but I was kind of taken aback. And then somehow we got around to this movie, and neither one of them had said it, and I was like, I want to recommend it to you, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Vacation was hard to watch. That one might break your brain. And part of that's a shame, but part of that's totally valid. I think it's part of the conversation.
Well,
There's like one scene in this movie that is cringy, like legit cringy, and I think it always has been.
It's over the top cringy, and yes, it has always been cringy.
Yes.
We'll talk about that for sure. But there's other little things that I was picking up on, and my new antennas, of older age and maturity, that I was like, ooh, that's subtle, but that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah. Tarantino's nothing if not like
it's kind of his brand, though. But,
that's. I don't know.
But
how
I
to
will say, like a lot of different ethnicities are made fun of in this movie, but not white people.
I mean, Quentin Tarantino kind of makes fun of himself by just being himself, but
he wouldn't think so.
no, he would not. He would not.
But anyway, we'll get into some of that later.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these things where it's like, yeah, I mean, this is a movie that, yeah, I mean, to say that it hasn't aged well, I don't think is actually terribly accurate, because I'm not sure that even the day after it came out, it was necessarily aging well in some of the dialogue, right? But I mean, and I don't want to defend Tarantino's overuse of a particular word.
Yeah.
However, we
had this conversation with Jackie Brown too. But
we did, but like,
I think it's a similar thing too.
Yeah,
like, the reason is similar.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that it's like, I don't know. I kind of think about like, because I was trying to think about it as I was watching it, because I knew this was going to come up, right? And there's like one scene in particular where it's really, really bad, and it's coming directly from Tarantino himself. It's a self-insert, which is not great.
Wait, I thought we were going to get to that later.
Let's get to it later. Let's talk to it later. Let's talk about it later.
All right.
Let's talk about it later.
No, I'm not. I mean, no,
but
we'll remember.
But I think too, to put a pin on this introduction to all of this, is when I'm gonna use that word again. When you look at this movie through the lens of pastiche, none of it is really out of place.
No.
Right? Because what it's pastiching is it's 100% accurate that these characters would talk this way. Right? So in that sense, it gets a pass because it is just holding up a mirror to the past, warts and all. Right?
Right.
But let's talk more about let's get into it.
Yeah. So
we got a long movie to talk about.
Right. We do. I think probably the way we should probably look at it is how it is structured, right? Because there's a wraparound story, and then there are chapters within that wraparound. And the wraparound, the opening and the end take place at a diner. And those are probably, I mean, like, it's very well split up. And when things are about to happen later in the epilogue, based on one specific line that Tim Roth says. And it still cracks me up that he's trying to be cool by using a French word to call for the waitress.
Garçon means
and
boy.
To fuck it up. Yeah, he fucks it up. It's like,
I like that they use alternate takes for the wraparound. It's not the same take, and I always thought that was interesting.
I was wondering last night if Amanda Plummer's differentiating line at the beginning and the end, if there's a purpose to it, or if it was just like a thing that Tarantino didn't notice.
I feel like he noticed, but he didn't care.
Okay, fair.
And it's honestly, it's one of the quirks that I love about it. I don't know why.
Well, honestly, if this movie had been made 30 years before, it would have been different then too.
Probably.
Because there would have been no continuity person in that exploitation movie. So basically, we get the cold open with the prologue in the diner. We've got Tim Roth and Amanda Plummer. They're a couple. They're kind of a Bonnie and Clyde, and they've knocked over liquor stores. They're talking about like where can we take this to the next. It's like, is this what we're going to be doing for the rest of our lives, or should we try for something bigger? Right. And there's, conversation about like how she came up with the idea of grabbing everybody's wallets as they kept coming into the liquor store while he was clearing out the cash register. And it turned out that they got more from the wallets. And it's kind of interesting because in a way it's like this opening scene is very, it is actually very like how to. Like I would not be terribly surprised if somebody watched this movie and then
it is it's
we're
like
gonna try that.
it's a little bit of a window into the overly articulate criminal, right?
Right.
It would fail very hard these days though because cashless society.
Oh,
pretty
totally.
much.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but like 30 years ago, somebody probably went and watched this movie or rented it on VHS, and it's like, fuck it, let's go down to the,
Denny's and
well, not Denny's necessarily, just go to the liquor store and knock it over and wait for more people to come in and take their wallets.
Well, the point was the liquor stores are dangerous because that's where you'll get shot
you
by
get
a
the
shotgun
you get the cowboy.
the cowboy. Yeah, I'm sure the Denny's were what they. If you were paying attention, that's what you would start robbing. Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
But but then again, like we talk about the articulate criminal,
right.
The not many are going to be
Well, they were probably all afraid.
things.
They were probably all afraid they were going to run into a guy with a wallet with bad motherfucker on it.
Yeah.
Interestingly, though, too, in this scene, you wouldn't notice it the first time you watch it, but one of the primary characters from the story walks in the background during Honey Buddy and Pumpkin talking.
Yeah.
But so on subsequent viewings, you see him, and if you recognize the uniform, you'd be like, oh, that's what he's wearing later in the movie. So, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Zed.
No,
Right.
Vincent Vega.
He's talking about in the
diner. Vincent Vega walks in the background to the bathroom.
Oh,
in the first part.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yes. You're right. Yes.
Just been partaking in the Madman.
Yeah, it's got the mush brain over there.
Well, it's a very layered movie. You got. There's lots of different timelines you're keeping track of here.
But basically, they jump up, use their little, everybody down. This is a robbery. Any of you pricks move, and I'll execute every motherfucking last one of you. Like,
and then you get freeze frame and into the
Dick Dale,
baby.
So
I want to mention too that right off the bat, the definition of pulp is given,
Oh yeah,
which also sort of is in a way Quentin Tarantino like letting himself off the hook, because what's the definition of pulp? Secondary definition: book or magazine containing lurid subject matter.
Yep.
When you tell everyone from the start that they're watching lurid subject matter, you can get away with a lot.
yeah. Fair.
Yeah. So
Well, you didn't turn it off.
well, yeah. Hey, you didn't get up or leave, leave, and you didn't, Well, and I'm sure there are people who have been like, well, I wouldn't have expected it to have this kind of content. It's like, it's R-rated. It's fucking R-rated.
That's just a deficit in imagination.
Yeah. Anyway, so then we go right into, we meet Vincent Vega and Jules. Now this is John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson. And by the way, this is the fourth time we've had John Travolta and I
The
can't.
fourth time?
Yeah, because he had a very, very bit part in Devil's Reign,
You got him in Carrie.
Carrie, and then Blowout.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about
And
Devil's
so-
Reign. Yeah.
But like, this is the fourth John Travolta movie, and I have noticed that none of those are Urban Cowboy or Saturday Night Fever. What are we gonna do about that?
I know.
What are we gonna do about that?
You get picks. You pick them.
All right, I'm gonna.
Nobody's telling you what to pick.
Anyway,
Can't blame us for your shortcomings, mister.
yeah. Anyway, so so basically Vincent has just come in after spending like 3 years in Amsterdam. And of course this is, it's like this is one of those scenes that everybody loves. I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, the fucking talking about what do they call a quarter pounder?
Yeah.
In France. And it's like,
Royale with cheese.
yeah, it's like they don't have they don't know what the fucking pound
right.
is. So it's
I want to talk
Royale
about
with
this.
cheese.
I want to talk about this scene because this scene is probably the most dated scene in the movie, right? And there's another one in Clerks that cracked me up. We'll talk about next week. But think about the things he's pointing out: buying a beer in a movie theater. What movie theater can't you buy a beer in anymore? Right? They're everywhere. Buying a beer at a McDonald's, I think is what he said. Well, maybe you can't buy a beer at McDonald's, but you can buy a beer at a Taco Bell, right? There's Taco Bell cantinas now.
Yep.
Putting mayonnaise on French fries. I'm sorry, but I never eat French fries with ketchup. Fucking aioli all the way, and that's mayonnaise. Legal pot. I mean, what? It's like 30 states has legal pot now, maybe more in the United States. Kind of wild, right?
Yeah.
Are you saying Tarantino's prescient? Is that what you're
I'm saying
saying?
that we were 30 years behind Amsterdam, and we finally have mostly caught up.
Yeah.
Now, the police brutality thing, we've got a lot to work on. But kind of wild, right?
Yeah.
It is wild.
Yeah.
I did think of the beer in the movie theater when I was watching it. I'm like, well, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's like, I mean, when this movie came out, there was the Hollywood Bar and Film Works was open downtown.
Yeah, that was novel. Yeah, I mean, that was like, oh my God, there's only place you can drink a beer and get a meal and watch a movie. Yeah, absolutely.
And now we're about to, in just a few short months, we're going to have a fucking Alamo Draft House in Indianapolis.
Yeah, we are. Man, I'm rooting for that place.
Yeah. So anyway, so the, they talk about like, well, what do they call Big Macs? Like, well, Le Big Mac. There's no, I mean, that's just a Big Mac. But the one that cracks me up though is like, what do they call?
I don't know. I didn't go to Burger King.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's the best line in the scene. Sorry, Jeff.
Yeah, it's like, okay, stepping on lines here. Cut. We're gonna have to do that one again. Anyway,
I like guessing what made you laugh.
So then, they're headed to someplace. It's kind of funny how, really this whole movie takes place over the course of a couple of days, right?
Yeah.
And like, there seems to be no heads or tails about time either, right? Like, not only are things out of order, but like, they are going to these people's place like at 8 a.m. And like, the people inside are eating hamburgers.
Yeah.
And then,
well, that's the cornerstone of every nutritious breakfast.
Yeah, I mean, it's commented on.
but
Susan said
it's
the
like,
same thing, and I was like, "Did you?" She was talking over the joke, and I was like, "Come on!"
Did you hear Jules?
Yeah.
but I mean, but also it's like then later or whenever it is that Vincent and Mia go out, they are out basically all night. Like to the point that the streets of LA are completely and totally empty.
Yeah.
Well,
downtown LA goes.
Well, yeah, downtown LA sucks. But but I've been there. Yeah,
it's not. That's not much to talk about. Yeah.
Right. But but still, I mean, but like it's not 8 o'clock when he's rushing her to Eric Stoltz. But anyway, I digress. It's interesting that it's like things like time is also dilated a little bit, I think. Not only are the scenes mixed up, but like, like everything about like Winston saying, it takes me 30 minutes to get there. I'll be there in 10 minutes. And he arrives before 10 minutes.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like they clean up an entire murder scene
In 45 minutes.
in less than 45 minutes.
Less than 45 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it is. Yeah, so it's like there's all sorts of fun little magical realism time shit going on here too.
But when they get to breakfast, I think it's like 10:30 or something. So it's still breakfast time. Like it actually, I think there is at least some attention to time in it, because there are clocks on the wall. They do mention, how long it's taking. He even says, the wolf says it'll be, she'll be home in 45 minutes or something like that. So it all works. But
well, I mean, everything's in order with that, right? But like things that would take much more time seem to be done very quickly, and things that are very quickly are spread out.
Well, yeah, but they have to work quickly.
You have to realize the explosiveness of the Bonnie situation, Jeff. That would make anyone clean blood fast.
So, Jeff, pretty please, with sugar on top, clean the fucking car.
Oh, geez, we're all over the place now in this movie.
Yeah, we are. Okay, so let's try to
so this is where we learn about their boss, Ving Rhames, who I wish his Arby's commercials he would talk like Marcellus. Because that would be hilarious.
For the longest time, I didn't even know that was Ving Rhames in the Arby's commercials.
Me too.
It just doesn't sound like him. Yeah, it's weird.
Sure does. It sounds just like he does in the Mission Impossible movies.
I know. He does.
It didn't sound like him until I knew it was him.
Yeah,
when it sounded like him, just like the guy who does the McDonald's commercials.
In the Arby's commercials, he's just doing like a bassy thing. There's no real inflection anywhere, and I don't know. I just don't hear Ving Rhames until I knew it was Ving Rhames.
Who's the McDonald's? Who does the McDonald's commercials? The guy from Succession. No, the guy from Succession.
The Grimace.
The old guy from Succession.
Brian Cox? Is it the new Brian Cox commercial?
Brian Cox has been doing McDonald's commercials for years.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
No clue. All right, cool.
Anyway, so they...
I'm bad at this.
So they're going to go, and they need to go pick up this thing for Marcellus. And we find out at this point that Marcellus is going to go out of town for a day or two. And while he's gone, Vincent has been asked to look after or take care of Mia, his wife.
Take care of her?
And no. Just take her out. Show her a good time, And Jules shares a little bit of juicy, rumor with him. And he's like, well, what was his name? Tony Rocky.
It's Antoine Rockamora, and they call him Tony Rocky Horror.
Right. Guys, he's Samoan. He's got,
what's he going to do? He's Samoan.
Yeah, he's got a weight problem.
One call him fat. What's he going to do? He's Samoan.
Yeah. But Jules is like, it's like, dude can't talk right because he was thrown out a window 4 stories for giving me a foot massage. To which...
That's the thing I hate about this movie is there's such a musicality to some of the deliveries of the lines, and you just can't say the words that you need to say.
Oh, yeah, man. This is the most quotable movie you cannot quote.
I mean, I did ask Samuel...
N-word fell through that is like... When I hear that, it's like a symphony.
Right. Well,
it's like shit, blank. That's all you had to say. That's like one of my favorite lines, and I can't say it.
Right. Well, it's
like rap lyrics, right? It's like, well, I can't really sing along.
Right.
I'm not going to do that.
I did reach out to Samuel L. Jackson. Unfortunately, he said he was tied up. He couldn't come to share some of his lines with us. So, but anyway, and then I accidentally tried to reach out to Paul Winfield because it's Jules Winfield, and I forgot that Paul Winfield died. And he probably ended up having a horrible death because he always did in every one of his movies.
Maybe he just had a super boring death in real life. I hope so.
Probably, I hope so. I really hope so because in every movie it was awful.
So this foot massage conversation is hysterical, even more so now knowing what we know about.
Oh my God,
about Quentin Tarantino, yeah. And it's like if we didn't know it by now. I mean, come on! It's like it's
even
all
the
over
cab
the place.
driver in this is
cab driver's not wearing shoes. There's
close-up shot of Uma Thurman's foot
a couple times.
What's her name? Maria de Medeiros. Like when she's laying in bed, it's like very clearly like there's soles of her feet. Like center of the screen, and it's like now you know this stuff. It's like why didn't we know this 30 years ago?
Tarantino, he's the foot fucking master. Don't be tickling or nothing.
Him and Rex Ryan.
Rex Ryan. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
guy.
oh no! Every time I see it, it's like that's the Quentin Tarantino motherfucker, right there.
Oh man, anyway, peas in a pod, peas in a foot-shaped pod.
Ew. Anyway, so like toes in one of those socks.
Every edamame, every pea is a bean.
We're gonna be here till midnight.
I know we are. Yeah, we are.
Anyway, so but basically, it's like like Vincent's like, yeah, man. It's like it's not it's not like it's in the same ballpark as eating a woman out, right? And he's like, I don't know what kind of whatever. And he's like, but I kind of get why he would get mad if somebody was touching his wife that way. So they end up going in to this apartment where we see three guys, one of which is Phil LaMarr. Yeah, which is awesome.
Marvin.
Yeah.
So sad for Marvin. And Frank Whaley is the other recognizable guy. That's Brett. Look at the big brain on him.
Yep.
And then Flock of Seagulls on the couch.
Flock of Seagulls on the couch. So they go there, and he's, and Jules is like basically doing all the talking. He's the bad cop in this. Vincent's the silent one. And, which is funny because Vincent does a lot of the talking up to this point. And once they get inside, it's the Sam Jackson show at this point.
Ooh, I don't want to shortchange Flock of Seagulls. I didn't know this. That's Gore Steers. He's a nephew of Gore Vidal and the writer-director of Iggy Goes Down.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Nice. All right, sorry.
So basically, it's like we're looking for this thing. It's like you remember your associate, Marcellus Wallace. Like, yeah. And it's like, you fucked him basically. I love. He's like, what's he look like? Like he's bald. Man. He's like,
he's black.
He's black. It's like,
does he look like a bitch?
Right, exactly. And
why'd you try to fuck him like a bitch?
Do they speak English in what? What ain't no country I ever heard of?
Well, say what again? I dare you. I double dog dare you. Say what one more goddamn time. Sorry, I get going on this movie.
Sam Jackson is so fucking menacing in the scene too. Like his eyes. Oh my god.
The most menacing thing he does is he drinks all the Sprite while staring at them.
Oh god, yeah. He's just eating that. Ooh, this is a tasty burger.
And he's like, I want to wash that down, and he takes the whole Sprite,
sucks it all down.
And but meanwhile, the other thing that cracks me up in this scene is when he's talking to Frank Whaley and he's like, hey, Vincent just came back from Europe. What'd they call a quarter pounder over there? And just way off in the background, Royale with cheese.
Fucking Vincent.
Yeah. He's already shot up heroin at this point.
Oh,
you find out later he's a heroin addict. He's totally on heroin at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. But his function is to get the briefcase, which is stored somewhere in the back, and he opens it, and
he's transfixed by the light.
A big light shines on his face, and because Jules has to ask him twice, like, "Are we happy?" Yeah. He's like, "Yeah, we're happy." And then chaos.
Yeah. I love the fact that people just want to fucking know what's in that briefcase, and the answer is
it doesn't matter. I know. It doesn't matter. There's so many articles written about it. It's so dumb.
In it. Yeah, I mean, even Roger Ebert was like, "You guys are all stupid. This ain't fucking shit in there." It's like, just leave it alone. It's
Yeah,
just,
but stick around.
Talk about a boring conversation. Yeah,
I'm going to tell people what's in it at the end of this episode. I've already
okay, cool,
that.
sweet. I can't wait. I can't wait to hear it.
It's a foot. It's probably like the most beautiful foot in the world. It's like the foot of Adonis.
Yeah.
So
if that was your joke, then damn. If that was what it was.
No, it's
ruined it.
I'm positive it isn't. I'm positive Chuck's got the real answer.
That would be
Look at
crazy,
him.
though,
Look
if
over
we
there.
were on that kind of
Fake life.
wavelength.
Yeah, that was
So anyway, so he and basically it's the first time we heard Jules' big Ezekiel
2517.
2517, which is
Yeah.
adapted, we should say, because it's not word for
Yeah,
word.
it's kind of an abridged version.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the Jules
and,
version.
and a couple of the words are rearranged too, or
It's
like
the King Jules
swapped out.
version of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the important things to note here is about the shepherd, the tyranny of evil men, and what's the third one? The weak?
The week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are the three elements that are important to his little diatribe. And every time he says it, he kills the person he says it to.
Right. And they do. They kill Frank Whaley real good
From both sides.
from both sides. I do notice that I was like, man, if they shoot him at this angle, they could really potentially hit each other. But then I noticed that I noticed this Sam Jackson steps back and Travolta steps over, so they're at safe angles.
In reality,
They're like this way. Yeah.
in
they're
reality,
at safe
Travolta
angles.
could have
This way doesn't help our readers, Jeff.
Yeah.
That
I
doesn't help.
know.
He could have shot Marvin
Our
accidentally.
readers.
Exactly. Yeah, and that doesn't help our listeners. Now who's visited Eric Stoltz?
That's good stuff.
But no, you're right, Chuck. Marvin could have been hit because he's cowering in the corner.
Yeah.
Marvin will get hit. Marvin will get hit.
Right
Marvin
in the
will get
fucking
his-
face.
Did they also shoot? They did not also shoot Flock of
Well,
Seagulls.
Flock of Seagulls got shot earlier. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
He was the first one, and that was like, oh shit, we're fucked. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Now it is
Keep
important.
chilling. I like how he helps him get his foot back on the couch.
Yeah. Now Marvin's their
He's an inside
guy.
man.
Yeah,
Yes.
because it's like, how many guys do they say? 4 up to 5 people. Now there's only 3
to
in there.
4. 3 to 4. He said, "Is that including our inside man?" He said, "Maybe." He said, "So it could be 4 to 5.
Right.
We should have shotguns."
Right.
Yeah.
Because they only ever carry.
Which is important because Marvin kind of fucks up.
Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
But
yeah.
We don't find that
that's
out
what
until
allows
later.
the miracle to happen, but that happens later. Yeah.
Right. So then we now shift to basically a bar where Marcellus is talking to Butch, who's Bruce Willis. By the way, Bruce Willis is really fucking good in this movie.
He is very good.
When Bruce Willis, much like with John Travolta, when there's something good to really kind of get into, Bruce Willis can be really fucking
He
good.
doesn't quite sell those dad jeans, but he does a good performance.
I know, for a little while he's dressed like he's in a Levi's commercial, white shirt and dad jeans. Yeah.
Those dad
for
jeans
the
are
first-
something else.
I'm going to say 4 or 5 minutes. It's not that long, but while Marcellus is talking to Butch, we're focused just on Butch having zero reaction.
Yep. I
to
mean,
what
there's
he's
reaction,
saying.
but it's like very subtle.
It's
right?
glance in his eyes, you know. And you can tell he doesn't really like what he's being told.
I have a thing about this scene that I think dawned on me for the first time.
Okay.
All right, so I'll set it up. What's happening here is Marcellus Wallace, who you only see the back of his head with got a Band-Aid on the back of his neck.
Yeah, he nicked himself.
And when he's shaving his head, and he's telling Bruce Willis in an eloquent way that he's going to take a dive in his next fight. That he's past his prime. If he was going to make it, he would have made it by now.
Yep. And he's really only got maybe a couple of fights left in him at this point.
It's a beautifully written scene. It really is. Like the dialogue here is wonderful. You're going to feel a sting Don't listen to it. That's pride fucking with you. Fuck pride. Pride only hurts. But yeah, he gives them a whole wad of money, an envelope of money to take a dive in the fifth. In the fifth, your ass goes down. Say it. In the fifth, my ass goes down. First thing Bruce Willis says in the movie. So in the meantime, you see behind Bruce Willis, Vincent Vega and Jules come in. And they're wearing like some goofy ass clothing. You don't know what the hell's going on. They just come from the beach, right? And they're at the bar. And then there's a conversation that happens there. The bartender's kind of ribbing Vince a little bit about the date with Mia Wallace.
Which is hilarious because there's no way that Jules could have told him that, even though Jules told him that.
No, I don't think Jules told him.
I think it's common knowledge. Oh, yes. You're right.
No,
you're
Jules
right,
does say
he's the one that tells him. Yeah, Vincent is the one that tells Jules.
Yeah, Vincent tells Jules
you're right.
that he's doing that. Yeah. And Jules at that point is the only other person outside of Vincent, Mia, and
that is
and Marcellus that knows. But
we don't know
that
necessarily
for sure.
because Marcellus could have told him. Marcellus could have told him. Heard you taking out the big man's wife. That's very, very possible. Marcellus
possible, but the way that John Travolta then looks at Sam Jackson, and Sam Jackson laughs as he walks off. I think he's implying
that could just be me like thinking, well, I just told you, now this guy knows, but just inferring the wrong thing.
I do think it ties to one of the best lines that Mia has later, which is, all of you are worse than a knitting circle.
Worse than a knitting circle, which is true. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But what happens next is a scene that always kind of intrigued me, and I never quite understood it. So, other than the obvious foreshadowing, right? Bruce comes up to the bar, Butch, he asks the bartender for a pack of red apples. That's the Quentin Tarantino cigarette brand.
Yep.
With a pack of matches, and Vincent Vega is just staring at him. He's like, "You got a problem, friend?" It's like, "You're not my friend, Pluco." It's like, "What?" "You heard me, Punchy," is what Vincent Vega says back. And it's like this weird, like, tense confrontation that could easily escalate, but doesn't. And Butch seems taken aback by it. And then Marcellus says, "Vincent Vega in the house, get over here." And he goes over and they embrace. And Butch watches that. And he's still kind of like confused. He's like, "What the fuck?" You know, he's like, what's going on? I never thought of this before now, but I think in that moment is when Butch decides to not throw the fight.
I agree.
That's the moment.
Do you think that it's also possible that Marcellus was going to have him killed regardless?
I don't know. Maybe. Probably not. I don't think so. What does he have to gain from that?
He gets his money back.
Yeah, but that shit gets around, and
true.
The next time he asks somebody to throw a fight, why would they do it?
Sure.
No, I don't think so.
I think Butch
the interaction.
Goes down, he's going to make a lot of money anyway.
He's going to. I legit think he'll be taken care of. Yeah.
I agree with you 1,000%. And last night was the first night I thought
weird,
of that too.
Right? That's weird. Yeah. It just like struck me. It was like a bolt of lightning.
Well,
it was like I've been confused about that scene for years. Well, I think it finally made sense.
The way he's looking at that interaction between Marcellus and Vincent too is like he's got that kind of squinty eyed like fuck that guy. Fuck them.
That guy. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, that's a good call. Yeah, that's a good call. I like it.
I agree with that. It does make that scene make sense. Mm-hmm. Do you know what palooka means?
But what I don't know is why, like, I think it's like a boxer, right?
I think it means wig. I think he was calling him a bald guy. Baldy.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But
if I'm understanding him
it's
correctly.
It's weird to me that Vincent would be so confrontational with him. That still is like, why? What's the point? Are you just puffing up your feathers, you know?
Yeah, I don't get it.
I still don't understand that. But what I do like that I think makes sense now in my brain is that it was motivation for him to throw the fight.
Agreed.
Here's what it means, and this even adds to it. Palooka means once upon a time, this is a dated term now, but it's an inferior or average prize fighter. So it's like, fuck you, I'll show you what average is.
Yeah.
And then he kills the guy. Anyway.
That sting, it
hit him
happened
already.
a lot earlier than thought. Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting. Palooka, the other wig is another meaning for it, right?
Huh. Is it?
No, it's clumsy.
I swear I saw
Palooka. Are you spelling it right? Palooka. Palooka.
Yeah, how do you know how it's spelled?
Because I just typed it in.
No, how do you know what he said, how it's spelled? I mean,
Because
I agree with you.
because it's also in the IMDb quote.
Based on the definition, though, that's pretty good context.
Oh, it totally makes more sense. I looked it up wrong because I didn't know how it was spelled, apparently.
That's weird. Interesting.
Yeah.
So
Double
so basically Vincent shows up to take Mia out. And first he's got to go and see
he's got to go see Marty McFly, proto Marty McFly. Right. Yeah.
And he's going to buy
he's going to buy some heroin, and
heroin.
Eric Stoltz claims that his heroin could take the Pepsi challenge with the heroin in Amsterdam any day of the week. John Travolta's like, well, that's a bold proclamation. And Eric Stoltz, Lance, I think is his name, stands by it. And this is where it's like one of those moments where I kind of like roll my eyes, because he talks about like white people's superiority of like their connoisseurship of heroin.
That's funny. It's funny that you mention that, because I think this is the only time of all the times the N-word,
the white people are lampooned a little bit.
No. That's not at all what I'm about to say.
Okay.
But no, of all the times that the N-word's used in this movie, this is the only time in which I think specifically it is used as a derogatory term.
Like in a racist way? Yeah,
yes.
I agree. Oh, yeah. Eric Stoltz is a racist 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Or not Eric Stoltz. Sorry, Lance. No. I would never talk
Stoltz.
Badly of Mask.
Yeah, but this is of all the time, because elsewhere in this, where somebody is using that word, I look at it as kind of like, you know what the word cholo is, right? And it's a Hispanic gang member, right? And it's like it's can be used derogatorily, but it's not really,
right.
Because it is actually a specific word. But like, it would be like kind of using it like that, or using it like Chico. But in this in this scene specifically, it's the only time where I said that's derogatory.
Yeah, for sure.
And
for sure.
But anyway, my favorite line in this whole thing was when he asks him if he's interested in Trudy, and he's like, "Which one's that? The girl with the shit, the shit in her face?"
No, that's my wife. Oh shit, man! I'm sorry. And he goes in with that like that kind of half-hearted hug, you know. Like, I'm sorry, man. I love that. Well, what I was zeroed in on this is he buys 3 ounces of Madman.
Yeah.
And he's like, if it's as good as you say it is, I'm going to come back for another 1,000.
Yeah. Well,
you
you
say
saw
1,000 or 100. Either way, it's like a shit ton.
1,000.
It was 1,000, right?
It was 500 a gram. It's 500 a gram.
Oh my god.
Saw the wad that he pulled out of this.
I know. And then we have the classic like Kima car.
You don't mess with another man's car.
Which is great. And I love like Lance is kind of doing the customer's always right, like agreeing.
Yeah, right.
Thing,
he doesn't really want Vincent around any longer than he needs to be.
But he's like, "My casa is su casa."
You can shoot up right here.
Muchas gracias. That's one of the great like the Travolta line deliveries of my.
And the way he throws his coat too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Muchas gracias.
It's it's also super duper important that Eric Stoltz is out of balloons. That is actually super important.
Yes, that is crazy important. And that was something I thought about this time around too, that I don't know if I ever thought of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, well, okay, so what? Give me a fucking baggie.
That always kind of stuck in my craw about like, why did she think it was Coke?
Because Cokes
she just,
and baggies and
Cokes
heroines
and baggies, heroines and balloons. Yeah. Yeah. I never really put that together until this.
Yeah,
This is
watch.
why we need old dealers on the show so that they can explain this shit to everybody.
So, but anyway,
But it makes sense. It makes sense that she would assume that. Yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah.
he basically goes straight from shooting up to pick up Mia, and of course, a meme is born
Oh yeah.
in this
Oh,
exact
God,
moment when he comes walking in. He gets the note saying basically, "Come on in, fix yourself a drink," and she's watching him on the security cameras, and she's talking to him on the intercom, and he's so fucking stoned. Like he just looks around all confused. He doesn't know where she's talking.
He doesn't know where the intercom
doesn't
is.
even
That's
know-
the best
he
part.
doesn't
He's
even
like, where's
know-
his voice coming from?
Yeah, he doesn't even know if he's hearing the voice. You know?
And again, this is a great Travolta moment.
And
Like,
the whole like you got to press the button to talk about.
he absolutely kills in this movie.
He's
He
great.
really does. He really does.
He's so fucking good in this movie. Yeah.
I mean, people talk about like Quentin Tarantino doing like the resurgence of John Travolta. It's really Travolta.
Yeah.
Like if
Well,
he
yeah.
put in like a subpar performance in this, it wouldn't have done anything for him.
There's two
He's
things
so
to that.
fucking good.
Yeah.
There's three things to that. Tarantino wanted him. He's like, I want you. It was his only choice. Harvey Weinstein wanted Daniel Day-Lewis, and Tarantino was like, no, I want Travolta. Travolta found out how much Tarantino wanted him among all the actors in the world who wanted to work with Tarantino after Reservoir Dogs. Like, Tarantino specifically sought out John Travolta and gave him mad respect. A guy who was like not really doing so well in his career at this point.
Well, this was
Of
technically
course he was going to bring it, and he did. And he gave the performance that Tarantino knew he could give. It was like the perfect marriage. It's awesome.
Well, it's kind of funny because I'll add a couple other things to that. This is the third resurgence of Travolta because look who's talking 5 years before, but that
Yeah.
flamed out fast.
Well, he just
I would
kept
hardly
making them.
call that a resurgence.
Oh,
but
It
I
was a
would-
popular movie.
I
It was
would call
popular.
that a fucking resurgence if you watch his 80s movies. Like, oof. Basically,
It was a hit. It was a hit.
Yeah.
Like
one movie, it didn't like vault his career
Well,
again.
no,
that's
but-
very
but-
true
but-
because it was short lived. Yes,
It was short lived because all he really was doing after that were the sequels. It was like,
Right.
oh, now you got to make these kind of pseudo family movie type things. But this one launched him back into adult popularity.
It's like the reconnaissance.
Right, exactly. So then he, but I mean, like, I guess kind of early on, the reason why he goes after Travolta is because Michael Madsen went to go make Wyatt Earp instead of, or like he was busy making Wyatt Earp, couldn't make this movie.
yeah.
And I think about that and it's like, Jesus Christ, Tarantino dodged the bullet. It's not that I don't like Michael Madsen, but he ain't this. There's no fucking way
no.
he would give.
No, Madsen would have been all wrong. Yep.
Yeah, he would have been too tough, or he would have been just off. It would just like you needed the energy that John Travolta brings.
Yeah.
Here.
And that's true. Thank you for mentioning that because definitely he wanted that continuity to him to play the same character. But then he decided, well, I'll make him his brother.
Yeah, right. And it's like it's like, I mean, John Travolta just when he's good, man, he has just got a special kind of energy to him.
He does. I want to move on to somebody else who has a special kind of
I do
energy
too.
because
Go
I was in love with Uma Thurman.
Oh yeah.
I don't know who you were going to talk about, Jason, but I was in
Steve
love with Uma
Buscemi
Thurman after Jennifer 8 with Andy Garcia. I was like,
yeah.
who's that fucking
Yeah.
woman?
Yeah.
And then she showed up in this, and it like, ooh, she's
Yeah.
so interesting and weird.
She is,
this
but
movie-
she is not like the whole conversation when they get to Jackrabbit Slims and he wants to ask her about the whole Tony Rocky horror.
Yeah.
And she plays coy, but you also believe there was nothing untoward in that whole interact. Like everything that everybody thinks is wrong,
Right.
but she's not going to tell him anything more than necessary.
The only people who know what's going on are Marcellus Wallace and Tony Rucker Horror. They're the only ones.
Yep.
How cool is Jackrabbit Slim's? That I want to go to that place tomorrow.
One quick thing on the person I was going to mention is Bruce Willis.
Oh yeah.
So Bruce Willis is another one of those guys down, kind of like
this was not a great time
flop
for him.
after flop for Bruce
After
Willis.
Die Hard 2, he was in the tank. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to stress something really interesting. And this
Except for look who's talking.
This speaks a little bit to the savviness of the Weinsteins, which I know. Look, they did what they did. This was another movie that they babied, and it's amazing.
Understand that not both Weinsteins are monsters. One actually hates the other two.
one is a monster who looked the other way. But
sure, but they were very, very. Just in general.
Are we just going to defend the Weinsteins?
Look.
No,
I just want to
say Bob and Harvey do not like each other anyway.
I'm going to give credit. I'm going to give credit from a strategic standpoint of like decisions made, and business savvy. I'm not going to get into the rest of it.
Sure.
But Harvey sold the worldwide distribution rights outside of U.S. rights for $11 million on Bruce Willis's name.
Yeah.
He was still popular enough for a while that he could sell all the worldwide distribution rights, and they were immediately in the black on this movie. Miramax was before they even started shooting.
Yeah, I mean it's
crazy.
I mean, Striking Distance was still a big movie overseas, I guess.
I like that movie a lot.
I mean, it's no Last Boy Scout, but I mean,
wait,
it's probably better than Color of Night.
Jackrabbit Slims. What do we got?
Yeah, so in Jackrabbit Slims, we've got this is a 50s themed diner. It cost $150,000 to build this set. That is a significant amount of money, considering that's how much it cost to get John Travolta.
Yeah.
So they paid as much for this set as they downpaid Travolta to be in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's sobering, probably, right?
Probably.
It's like, goddamn.
Well, I mean, he wanted to do the movie. He took
absolutely, he did.
Yeah,
and it was the best decision he's made in his career, probably.
Yeah. but for an $8.5 million movie, $150,000 for 10 minutes of movie is a lot.
But it's a knockout.
It is. It's the scene of the movie. It's the scene that everybody remembers.
Yeah.
There's
like a humanizing of the gangster.
Yep.
There's the wonderful performance. There's a wonderful performance by Uma Thurman. There's a freaking dance sequence with John Travolta,
which he hadn't danced in like 15 years. It was great. I mean,
it's great.
And the line
is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Chuck.
All I was going to say, in the line I'm able to quote most from this movie. Just, I don't know if it's worth $5, but it's pretty fucking good.
But it's pretty fucking good.
Because I'm allowed to say it. I'm allowed to say it.
Well, there's also I don't see Jane Mansfield. She must have the night off.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's
good.
funny.
I don't think Buddy Holly is much of a waiter.
Yeah.
I think it's a wax museum with a pulse.
Yes. Well, then there's also one.
Oh, don't you just love it when you come back and you come back from the restroom and your food's there? That's the thing I think about all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
When she's in the bathroom doing the line of coke and she's like, "God damn!" I said, "God damn!" That was something my buddies and I would say to each other, like if we
did lines of coke.
Yeah, like if we did a line of Pixie Sticks or something, it's like,
yeah.
But anyway,
I said, "God damn!"
But
go to the little girl's room and powder my nose.
Well, and
she
I love
literally does.
I love that, like all of the other people around her too. It's just like a collection of weirdos in that bathroom.
Yeah. Susan was like, imagine you went into a bathroom and there was just some woman like doing coke on the sink. And I was like, well, you haven't spent much time in LA probably.
Yeah, I mean,
or San Diego, man. Fruza Bulk
New York?
did coke in the bathroom at the Silver Fox.
I'm not joking. Surprise me at all. It does not surprise me at all.
But no, she. But this is where you find out it's like, yeah, she was in a pilot, which they talked about earlier. which Vincent doesn't watch TV shows. So Jules has like, you are aware that there's a thing called TV, and on this TV
on that
they show
on
shows.
this TV they show shows.
Yeah. And so she talks about like being in Fox Force 5 and how, like all of these different characters were based on different things. And Chuck, did you know that most of the characters are based on X-Men characters?
Well, I mean, they certainly sound like it.
Yeah, they are. They are actually her name is Raven Darkholme.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like he takes most of the names from like X-Men characters.
Not surprised.
Yeah. So anyway, they and she's like, my thing was knives. I grew up in a, in the circus, and I was like a master with knives. I could kill anything with a knife. And my thing was, at the end of every episode, I would tell a joke.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, tell me a joke. Yeah, it's like, tell me the joke that he's like, well, you're not gonna laugh. He's like, what? It's like, and like that. There's that whole back and forth.
He actually says, "I promise I won't laugh," and she's like, "That's the problem.
That's the problem. You're not gonna laugh."
Yes.
And then the whole thing about like awkward silences in this, and that's, and then the whole like, well, this is what I heard about, Tony Rocky Horror. And she's like, well, who said that? And he said, they. And he's like, they talk a lot, don't they? And it's like, yes, they do. Like all of that is just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful dialogue. Like just brilliant dialogue.
Fox Force 5 does make an appearance later in the Quentin Tarantino universe. That is essentially the five assassins in Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, they go back. Does it go directly? I don't know if it flips.
They go back. They win the dance contest. They go back to
he doesn't want to dance. He doesn't want to dance with her, and she's like, "You're told to take me out.
Yep.
We're here. I want that trophy. I want to win. Yeah, I want to dance. I want to win. I want that trophy." And
so they win, and they win the game.
And they win the game.
And
fucking strong bad reference there. Holy shit!
I know. That's one of my only ones I know.
That's the one.
Good Jorb. Good Jorb.
Good Jorb. That's another.
Burninating the people.
That's about it. That's the Holy Trilogy.
Yep.
You're pretty smart.
So they get back to the house, and they're getting like a little familiar, right? Mm-hmm. And
they like each other. I mean, they genuinely like each other, and you can feel it and see it.
Right, but it has potential to go into dangerous places. And
right,
John
because
Travolta,
they dance in and he
Vince
leans her over.
He's
like, is that an uncomfortable silence? And she's like, I don't know what that was.
I don't know
and
what
he's
that
like,
was.
I need to get the fuck out of here.
I need to use the restroom. So he
Nothing
goes to the
good
restroom.
happens when he goes to the bathroom.
He goes to the bathroom to try and give himself a pep talk of like, I need to get the fuck out of here.
No, he said,
you're going to drink your drink. Don't be rude, but drink it quickly, right? And then he's like,
you're going to go home and you're going to jerk off. You're going to go sleep.
You're going to jerk off. You're going to go sleep. That's all you're going to do. Which is funny because when he comes out, he just says, yeah, me, I got to go.
He deliberates further because he's in there long enough for her to dance to "Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon," which is a wonderful fucking cover.
Yeah. But she's wearing his jacket, his trench coat. She finds the heroin. She thinks it's coke. She snorts it. Bad idea.
Yeah.
She overdoses. He comes out, sees her with like blood coming out of her nose and like vomit out of her mouth.
She looks like she really OD'd there. Like it looks
really convincing. Yeah. And he's like, oh no, fuck no, and picks her up and takes her in the car and Lance.
Fucking Lance.
Lance is just trying to enjoy his cereal.
Fruit Brute. Yeah, I love Fruit Brute.
It's like, I think it's like 3 a.m. and he's watching.
No, it's just after 10 or something.
That's kind of later than that.
She's like, I told you not to have people call after 10. I guess it could be
after
later.
10. It's after 10.
It could be later, but yeah.
Fair enough. Because, Rosanna Arquette is pissed because the phone's ringing and she's trying to sleep. Meanwhile, Lance is watching TV and the other woman, the
Trudy.
Irish woman, Trudy, is smoking a bong. Yeah.
Yeah,
she's hilarious in this scene, just sitting there.
Yeah, she's just always there, always just like ripping bongs. Yeah, ripping
bongs. She's just sitting there. Yeah.
And he's like, what is he? There actually says something that kills me. He's like, I'm in big fucking trouble, man, and I'm coming to your house.
He's like, no, don't come here. Wait, are you calling on a cellular phone?
That is the quickest way to harsh someone's chill, man.
Yeah.
Is to call someone and say those words. It kills me. And he's like, no, prank caller. He's like, are you calling me on a cellular phone? He doesn't want him there. It's like, but no choice, man. I'm on my way. And he wrecks
5
into
seconds
the
later,
house.
he wrecks
into the house, and he brings her in, and he expects Lance to know what to do. And Lance is like, kind of knows what to do, but like 10% of what to do.
Well,
right?
He knows that you got to deliver
an adrenaline shot
straight to the heart,
in
a gigantic needle that can bust
and
through
he's looking, and he actually has a shot. So he's at least responsible enough to know that, hey, this might come in handy. Especially if someone shoots up in his house, right? And it has a bad reaction. He's probably got it. That's probably a job related insurance, right?
Sure.
But yeah. But he doesn't want people to come to his house that are ODing, right? And
he does have the nurse's booklet.
He's looking for his little black medical book, yeah.
Right?
which he doesn't find.
It's
Eventually,
fucking chaos, man. Everyone is yelling. Yeah.
Total chaos. And Rosanna Arquette, his wife, is like flipping out. She's like, "Get her out! Get her out!" She's like fucking pissed. I know. I'll get there.
Yeah.
I see you with your finger up. Dude. Every nuance of this movie, I got it. And then eventually, he's like, "All right, let's administer the shot." And he does, but before he does, it gets this great shot of everybody like looking, and it's a tense moment. And yes, the moment that Jeff is mentioning is Rosanna Arquette is looking with the most intrigue on her face. She's so excited to see what's going to happen next. Like, she went from being really annoyed and put out to be like, whoa, this is some trippy shit, and I'm excited. In fact, she says this is some trippy shit.
Yeah.
After the shot is administered, and Uma Thurman immediately comes awake. Lance asks her to say something, and she says something. And Rosanna Arquette is like, she say trippy? Man, this is trippy shit, man.
And then she has her nerdy ass laugh.
Oh, God. She's... Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, to have a movie with Rosanna Arquette and Amanda Plummer in it is so wild to me. It's like, where's McTilly? But yeah, so
he takes
her life
her
is
home.
saved.
Yeah, he takes her home, and he's like, "Well, what are we going to say about what happened here?" And basically, they agree that they'll keep it between themselves. You know, they're not gonna say anything.
Trust me, if Marcellus found out about this, I would be in as much trouble as you would.
Yeah.
To which Vince says, "I seriously doubt that."
And so he, she's walking back, and she stops him, and she's like, "I'll tell you the joke." The joke from the end of the episode.
The Fox Force 5. Yep.
Yeah, it's like you got. Okay, well, never mind.
We don't need to tell every joke in a movie. We can move on. If you've seen the movie, you know the joke.
So now we end up we get a little bit of the earliest possible thing on this timeline.
Yeah.
And that is little young Butch sitting at home watching Clutch Cargo. If you've never seen Clutch Cargo, it is fucking wild. It is. That's something that is played often on the Other Worlds TV, and it is fucking wild with the real people's mouths.
With the real people's mouths
God.
Behind the illustrations. I know, it's so bizarre. Yeah.
And so this is where we get the whole Christopher Walken talking about shoving a watch up his ass to be able to deliver the watch back to young Butch as his dad dies in Vietnam.
Yeah, he had this uncomfortable hunk of metal up his ass for 5 long years.
Man, he uses every possible derogatory term for an Asian person in this scene.
Yes, he does.
He leaves nothing unturned.
It's like the True Romance scene with Dennis Hopper and Christopher Walken. Not Dennis Hopper. Is it Dennis Hopper?
Yeah, it's Dennis Hopper. Yeah.
Yes.
Except for he's talking to a fucking kid.
Right. Right. Oh my God. It's
It's so bad.
And the kid's just staring at him.
and it's Christopher Walken, so he's just like, the delivery of every line is perfect.
Yeah.
It is really astounding to me how well Tarantino writes for people, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure he wrote that only for Christopher Walken.
Well, I mean,
Right?
just think about
Yeah.
like, you know, I mean, like, you just move up on the timeline a little bit later, like more recently, we got like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where, you know, it's like there's nobody but Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio for that movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And he just nails it. He just nails it for them.
Yep.
Yeah, anyway. He
just
knows who he's writing for, and it's just
Yeah.
it's amazing.
It really is. It really is.
And he's good at writing women too,
yeah.
which you wouldn't think he would be because of what the typical character is in his movies. But like,
I mean, there doesn't have to be a lot. There doesn't have to be a lot of depth to them, though. You know,
But with Uma Thurman, though, in this movie, I mean, it's nailed. I mean, he nails her.
yeah, yeah. But we're not talking about like Robert Altman here. You know,
Well, no, but I mean, but like, but how she fits into this movie with all of these other types of characters, these
Sure.
criminals and killers, is perfect.
well, yeah. He writes her on their level, and not as just a bimbo. Right,
Exactly.
because
Not
that
even-
that character has total potential to be a bimbo, and that's so boring.
Right.
Right.
But then you also have like the Fabienne character
Yeah.
who is
Yeah,
she is flighty,
yeah.
but she's also realistic.
She to me is like she's in that chrysalis of naivete into shit is real life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But she does not seem to be poorly written or she's not treated really like a bimbo, even though there is playful back and forth between her and Butch.
I think that their relationship is well written. Yes. Yes.
Well,
I
let's
agree-
talk
I
about it
agree there.
because they're next.
Yeah, they're the
yeah.
exact thing that we see here. So after after Butch basically has taken the money for the fall,
Yep. When's the fight?
he goes back.
Yeah,
to,
he kills the guy in the boxing ring that he was supposed to take a fall for.
Sorry about that, Floyd.
So he won a bunch of bets through a bookie in Tennessee.
Yes.
Yep.
Spread it across 10 bookies. He thinks he'll have it collected by the weekend. That's beautiful news. I'll see you on Tennessee time.
Yep. And he gets a ride home from maybe the most peculiar character in the movie.
Agreed.
Esmeralda, House
Agreed.
of Wolves.
Yeah, she is from like the 40s, like noir era, like early 50s
Very,
noir.
very much.
Which is interesting because the outside when they're driving is that like kind of backdrop.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
It's
And
that
it's-
rear projection. And,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like
and it's an
her
old style
eyes
cab.
Yep, and her eyes are lit from the mirror, you know, and it's like, it's just, she is, the way she talks, the way she looks at him, she's like a femme fatale.
Yeah. That's,
But she's just
that's
there for a
Angela
scene.
Jones.
Yeah.
It's Angela Jones. She was, the only other really big credit of hers was Curdled. Did you ever see that?
No, but I was reading about it. I think I do want to see that.
Tarantino got that made pretty much. Like it was in that time where like if you put Tarantino as executive producer on your movie, then your movie will get a green light.
Yeah.
That was one of those. It's really good. She plays one of those like crime scene cleanup people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Check it out.
Yeah, I like check that out. Because I mean, she is an interesting person in this. It's like,
Yeah.
I want to know more about who is playing this, because she's weird. Like she drops in from another movie. You know what it made me think of? You know what this actually made me think of? This made me think this was a scene straight out of like Sin City.
Yeah, sure.
Not Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
It's the scene I always forget about this movie. It's like, well, how does he get from the boxing match to home, basically? And it's like, I always forget about this scene because it feels like it's from a different movie.
Yeah. The other thing that is always interesting to me about this scene is it's important for another reason, because of the gold watch.
Yes.
He has to leave the ring immediately. He cannot go get shit. He cannot grab a bag. He's got to leave the ring in his gloves and boxing shorts. He's got nothing else, right?
He's got his robe.
Well, Fabienne is supposed to have grabbed it from the apartment.
Well, I know, but if it was that fucking important, he would have had it with him, right?
Oh,
like
right.
that is the moviegoer's logic.
Right.
But the fact that he can't wear a watch in the ring, right?
Right.
So she has to be the one who
because he's got to win the fight, and then he's got to get the fuck out of it. Because they even say in the radio that it was the shortest post-fight interview that they've ever heard.
Because there wasn't
he jumps
one.
out the window into the cabin, boom.
Yep,
Yeah.
and he's gone. Yep.
Yeah.
And she literally steps on it.
Yeah.
The cab driver. Yeah. Anyway.
So he gets to the apartment.
He gets to the hotel. And,
yes, thank you.
And this is where she's, this is where she's talking about where she wants a little pot. And he's like, "What are you looking in the mirror?" He's like, "No, a pot." She wants a pot. Yeah, and it's
perfectly round pot belly. I'd wear a t-shirt 2 sizes too small to accentuate it.
She is adorable.
Yes, she is.
Very.
By the way, so Maria,
I was telling Jeff a few months ago that there is this young woman who works at a restaurant near me that I get brunch at, who looks just like her, like at this age, and it's kind of like wild. Yeah.
Well,
crazy.
So that actress, Maria de Medeiros, kind of famous for being in Henry and June.
Oh yeah.
That was the first NC-17 movie. It was Philip Kaufman. That's Fred Ward and Uma Thurman. So Uma Thurman played June in that. And but I had just, this is crazy because I had just watched like one of the new uploaded old Siskel and Ebers from the channel I always watch in front, talked about that movie. And they specifically talked about her being the best part of that movie.
Oh, wow.
Because they thought Anais Nin was the more interesting writer of all of those people, and therefore she had the juiciest, best role and kind of nailed it. Yeah, they were like, Fred Ward was fine, Uma Thurman's fine, but they're not really interesting characters in real life, not compared to the character she played.
Yeah, she's had a long career. I mean, she's still working today.
Yep.
Been in some really interesting things, only a few of which I've seen, but yeah.
Yeah.
She was in the Saddest Music in the World with Isabella Rossellini. That's a wild movie. And Stranded, which was a Spanish production of a space flick, Stranded on Mars kind of flick. Like, I don't know. It was probably made for 1% of the budget of Mission to Mars, and it's way better.
Fucking Mission to Mars.
Anyway,
get a reaction.
So, but anyway, so basically, they clean up, and they're like, okay, well, it's almost time to go. Basically, it's the next morning. We got to get out of here. We got a train to catch. We're headed to Tennessee. Oh shit, where's my watch? This watch is really fucking important. Where's the watch? And you can see her like wilting.
Yeah.
Which is like, this is so natural to see, because like as he's escalating, she's realizing she's less and less sure. She like knew it was important, but she's less and less sure that she actually grabbed it. She doesn't want to just flat out admit it. Like she's almost becoming a child.
It's so great when he says it's either yes or no. Did you grab the watch? And then she's like, yes. He's like, are you sure?
No,
I don't know.
No. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's then
honestly kind of like a classic relationship thing. Like,
absolutely.
Like couples argue, voices are raised. Like it doesn't go where you think it might go. Right.
He doesn't beat her up or anything.
Although she is like cowering in a corner, which is
he's fucking up the room like
he's like throwing
like he's
shit.
Charles Kane.
Yeah, it gets a little like Charles Kane.
And she accidentally knocks a lamp on herself, which is not supposed to have happened, and it's kind of funny.
And he kind of realizes, it was like, okay, part of this is on me.
De-escalate now.
Part of this is on me. I gotta de-escalate. I told you it's important, but I didn't give you the context of how important.
And then he has it. He has.
Of course, he vents alone. He has his private vent in the car, and it all like honestly makes natural sense in a lot of ways.
I mean, again, they're very
tensions
realistic
are high.
pair of,
tensions are high. He's like, I've got to make a decision to risk my life to get my father's watch because I have literal gangsters who want to kill me. Right? Yep. Like all of it feels real to me. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're just a very realistic pair.
Yeah.
Who are kind of caught up in this wild other stuff that's going on with this movie.
It gets way more wild.
Oh, yeah, it turns into a horror movie here in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Her failure to grab the watch leads Butch back to his apartment.
Yep.
And he grabs the watch and he's kind of dancing around a little butchy kind of way in his apartment. He grabs a Pop-Tart. He's all excited. And then he puts the Pop-Tart in, he looks in the counter and he sees a silenced little Uzi.
Yeah, that's a big ass like silencer on that thing.
Yes, it
huge.
Is. It is. And he looks over to the bathroom and we see, I think they like briefly cut to Vincent Vega in the bathroom reading a book that he has in multiple scenes in the movie. I looked it up what it was. It's not very interesting. I don't think so.
Yeah, it's like a French title or something, right?
Yeah. I didn't.
Yeah,
it's not very interesting.
There's been things written about it, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. I don't think it adds anything.
Yeah.
What the book is. So it's pretty great. As Jeff mentioned earlier, something bad always happens when Vincent Vega's in the bathroom. Like all 3 times.
Yep.
So, there is a 4th time where he gets in an argument, but, when he walks out of the bath, and this is kind of wild, like from a first time watcher of this film, he walks out of the bathroom. Mm-hmm. You're already off balance in time.
Yeah.
And Butch is sitting there with the gun. The Pop-Tart pops up and he just mows Vincent Vega down.
Yeah.
And you're like, there's so little of him. Like, I was kind of invested in his character.
Totally. Yeah.
Like, I want to see more of Vincent Vega, and now he's dead.
Yeah.
We're talking about first time watch, Jeff. Like, Vincent Vega died, and
it's like they just Janet lead.
Our lead.
Our lead. Our John Travolta.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
But then Butch leaves with the watch. He's in the car and he's playing the Captain Kangaroo song and he's all excited. And then he runs into Marcellus Wallace, both
metaphorically and literally.
Because he ends up in. It's so good.
Well, it's like I like to think that Marcellus Wallace just picked up like some donuts, and he's looking forward to just getting into them fucking donuts.
You don't even have to like to think that. That's what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, certainly looks like he has a cake or some donuts or something, and he is really looking forward to mowing into that.
It's fucking donuts, and he's just going back to eat those fucking donuts.
Yep.
And then he looks at Travolta, and he's like, "Motherfucker." I love it. Or I said Travolta, it's Butch. Yeah. And Butch is just like, all right, I'm going to run this fucker over. That's the only thing I can do. And then he hits him, he rolls over the car, and then Butch crashes into the wall, and then
well, because another car hits Butch.
Oh yeah, he goes up onto the wall. Yeah.
And then the people collected around.
Kathy Griffin
playing herself.
Yeah.
That's
so weird.
They're all peering over Marcellus and asking,
"Oh, he's dead. He's dead.
He's dead. He's dead." And then finally he wakes up, and one of them is like, "Oh, that guy's got to be fucking drunk." And he's like, "Who?" He's like, "Who?" Yeah, him right over there. He can't even get it out. He gets up all like fucking stumbly and is just shooting fucking everywhere.
Well, and he hits one poor passerby.
The one lady in the leg.
Who's over there by Butch.
That woman was Quentin Tarantino's girlfriend in real life at the time.
Oh, really?
I thought you were going to say it was Kathy Griffin.
Everyone is Kathy Griffin.
That's why we said it gets real chaotic here. Lots of Kathy Griffin.
Real quick, there's a story about when Harvey Weinstein was given the script for this movie. One of his main acquisitions guys got wind that Pulp Fiction was in turnaround at, I think it was TriStar or somewhere. They just were afraid of it. They were like, we don't want to put this movie out. So it was in turnaround, and the acquisitions guy sent the script to Harvey. He's like, we need to buy this movie. He's like, I'm about to get on a plane. He's like, well, you need to read it while you're on the plane. He's like, I have to read this whole thing. It's 240 pages. He's like, yes, you need to read it. So he read 10 minutes of it. For first 10 pages, like, this is great. Does it stay this good? He's like, yes, it stays this good. Then he reads up to the point where Vincent Vega gets killed. He's like, they just killed the main character. He's like, Harvey, just keep reading. He's like, he comes back, doesn't he? And he's like, and he hangs up and he starts reading. and then he finishes it. And he says, we're buying this fucking movie.
That's hilarious.
Like, he was all in on this thing.
But also, fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy. So
I already put my disclaimer out
I know
there.
you did. I didn't, so I had to get mine in there.
So anyway, so they go off on a chase now, and it's like you got two guys who are stumbling around, just blood everywhere, and you got one guy with a gun just shooting whenever he can lift the gun up and he fires, and so Butch goes into a pawn shop.
Yeah.
And here we have, a guy he's like a hillbilly. He's like again, proving that hillbillies can live anywhere.
Yeah.
They're not just the traditional South. They can be anywhere.
These are not your father's hillbillies. These are the city hillbillies.
These are city hillbillies, and they have different ideas about some stuff. Anyway, so he comes in.
It is like Deliverance, though. So
Yeah,
having him be like a hillbilly looking dude.
Yep.
I don't even know if I'd call him a hillbilly, but it's informative.
Yeah. So then
Just yeah, whatever. Cool.
Yeah, well, no, it is. But Marcellus comes in and they continue their fight, and Butch is going to kill him, but the guy is like, nope. You're not killing him here. Take your foot off his neck. We're gonna capture you. He calls up Zed and says, I got a couple. The spiders caught a couple of flies.
Mm-hmm.
And they wake up in the basement of the place, and they've got ball gags on.
Can I just say, the first time I saw this movie, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
I think everyone.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I say it to this day. It's like this is the horror portion of Pulp Fiction.
and this is, I think, the scene that people probably talked about the most around the water cooler. Like, mature adults were like, oh, did you see Pulp Fiction? The Gimp,
Oh yeah.
Well, and kids our age, like, I'd never seen heroin cooked on a spoon, like in a movie or in real life. I'd never seen anal sex in a movie or in real life. Like all of this stuff that happens in this movie.
I had seen a leather gimp in real life by the time I had seen it, but not in a movie. What is that?
Oh man,
that was before your time at VH1. We had one in the back room.
Oh well, you probably had one in several videos.
They called him the Gump.
The Gump. Oh my God, was there? Surely there was a Forrest Gump or Forrest Gimp.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure
parody.
if not actual parody, like Halloween costumes.
Life is like a box of dildos.
You never know which one's fit.
Yeah. We did it, Chuck. This episode's over. Bye, everybody.
Oh boy.
Where are we?
So anyway, so they Zed comes in. He's like, you got to go wake up the Gimp. Out of this fucking box, out of this carton, rolls the Gimp.
Yeah.
And it's a
Gimp sleeping. We'll wake him up.
We'll wake him up.
And like, I think we're supposed to think the Gimp is
he's domesticated.
inbred or
domesticated.
Something.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, I'm getting to the point where he's subhuman practically.
A little
like
bit.
that's how he's like acting like that. He can't
all the
speak.
giggling and
Yeah, I don't even know if he has his tongue. Yeah.
Right. I mean, like, there's some fucking Hills Have Eyes shit going on here.
It's like Deliverance, dude. This scene is Deliverance. In the city.
Basically they say, okay, we're gonna take Marcellus into the back room. Gimp, watch after the other one. Meanwhile, Butch is able to undo his bindings, break the chair also, to which the Gimp is trying to like signal, but he punches him and basically hangs the Gimp.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like, he's killed 2 people with punches in 24
I don't know.
12
I don't
hours.
think he's dead because it's a hook. It's not wrapped around his neck.
Oh,
Well,
that's
but the
possible.
collar is around his neck.
Maybe, but he probably has his airways are probably open, is what Chuck's saying.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's dead. I don't know. They don't really examine it, so I'll just go with Jeff on this one. He's dead.
Yeah,
I
we'll
always
just say he's dead.
assumed he hung himself too, but I see your point, Chuck.
Yeah, it's possible he's alive, but yeah, it doesn't really matter that much in the grand scheme of things. The weapon swap that happens after is
Oh my god, the
wonderful.
escalation of weapons that he goes through.
It's
'Cause
hammer.
Butch is going
bat.
to leave. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna leave, and then he kind of hears the raping basically going on in the basement, and this is, I guess, one of Butch's finer moments because, like, in reality, I think he'd leave him.
I mean, he was already about to kill Marcellus.
Yes, but there's
He was about
something
to
in
shoot
his
him.
nature like this is worse than what I
is
was
worse
going
than
to
This
what
is
I was gonna
worse.
do.
This is worse than what I was going to do to him, and we both have gone
can't-
through this thing now.
I can't live with myself if I don't go back.
Yeah,
and
there's
do
a
it.
little-
If I let this happen.
Yeah.
But then he grabs a hammer out of a drawer and he looks at it and he's like, wait, you can feel the weight of it too when he's like doing his thing. And then he grabs a bat and then he finds like an ash looking chainsaw. It looks like it's straight out of the Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And then he looks up on the wall and like totally Quentin Tarantino moment and sees a sword. And it's so fucking good when he unsheathes
Samurai sword.
Samurai sword.
it. And then he goes down and he kills the, what did you call him? The redneck or whatever you want to call him. With the cool, like he slices him in the front as he's dying and walks by him and then jams the sword into his stomach from behind, or like he's in front of him and then
Yeah, it's like a whole fucking it's a samurai
or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have the whole standoff with Zed. Zed's got a gun at his side, but then Marcellus Wallace gets up, grabs a shotgun, shoots his fucking genitals off, and says some shit that's really cool that we can't repeat here about torturing Zed.
Hard pipe hitting N-words.
Yeah, I don't even feel comfortable saying that.
I know.
And like the whole time, the look on Bruce Willis's face, like, okay, cool.
That's not what I meant.
Yeah, it's like, but
Yeah.
because like
I'll tell you what now. I'll tell you what now. With me and you, there is no me and you. Not no more.
No more.
Yeah,
It's so good.
You've lost your LA privileges. But like
You get gone. You be gone. You get gone.
Yeah. But yeah, the whole
Or you
look
get
on Bruce Willis's face, where it's like he doesn't want to. He's not putting the sword away. He's not like he's watching Marcellus, but he's also watching the other guy, and it's like, what do I do? And then,
Well, I mean, Marcellus has already got a shotgun, you know?
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
ooh, yeah.
Do I need to do something now? But yeah, so he takes Zed's bike and he goes to get Fabienne, and she's like, "Where'd you get this motorcycle?" He's like, "It's not a motorcycle, it's a chopper."
Yeah.
Like, where'd you get the chopper?
Who's Chopper?
Yeah, whose
it?
chopper is it? It's Zed's. Who's Zed? Zed's dead, baby. Zed's
dead.
And that's the end of their story.
And Zed, it's too bad Chuck got up because Zed was played by Peter Green, who was Red in The Usual Suspects. That was one of like those things I put together because I saw these two movies around the same time. I was like, oh shit, that's the same guy. Yeah.
So is that Red Zed Redemption? Then?
Maybe Red Zed Redemption. I like it. Red's the guy who flicks the cigarette at Stephen Baldwin, and it actually hit him in the eye.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, that's like it's on film. It's cool. It's a wild scene because you can see it like bounce off his eye, and he reacts to it, and it actually happened. Yeah.
But did he flip him for real?
Hey, I flip you. I flip you for real. What the fuck?
Benicio.
Oh, we have fun on this podcast.
Anyway, yes, we do. So they, well, I mean, shit. I mean, Usual Suspects probably wouldn't get greenlit so quickly if it weren't for this movie.
That's probably true. Yeah.
Anyway, so, all right. So now we go back to the beginning of the movie, almost like basically to the shootout at Brett's.
Yes.
Yes.
And we hear now the whole scene taking place from the perspective of a guy in the bathroom who has a gigantic hand cannon.
Yes.
And after they kill Brett, he comes flying out and he tries to shoot Jules and Vincent. And he misses every shot.
Yes. Yes.
And so they just shoot him dead.
Yeah, and some of the bullets in the wall are seemingly like directly behind
them. Right, exactly. So like, yeah, when they kind of look at each other after the fact and they look behind them, yeah, it's like Jules comes to the realization that they just witnessed a miracle.
Yeah, miracle had occurred. Yeah.
And that must be a sign that he needs to get out of this game. To which Vincent's like, oh, you're crazy, whatever, you're nuts. And he's like, no, I'm fucking serious. It's like, well, what, because at one point he's like, well, if you tell Marcellus that you just witnessed a miracle and you're gonna, you're gonna quit, and he laughs. What are you gonna do? So I don't fucking laugh. I don't care. He was like, I'm out. I'm done.
Yep.
And so they're driving back, or they're driving back towards Marcellus's place with
Marvin
in the back, and John Travolta's just carrying his gun out in the open, turns, puts the gun on top of the headrest. He's like, Marvin, you ever hear any of this bullshit? And then blam.
What's your opinion?
What's your opinion? And then blam.
My opinion is my face got shot. Oh man, I shot Marvin in the face.
And they have blood all over themselves, all over the back window. And it's a fucking mess. And there's like shit dripping out of their like hair and everything. It's so fucking gross.
It's so good.
But so funny. And he's like, you must have ran over a bomb. I didn't fucking run over a bomb. It's like, what do we do? What do we got to do? It's like, we got to find someplace. It's like Marcellus's place is way the fuck.
I got a partner in Toluca Lake. Let's see if he's home.
He's right over the hill.
Right over the hill.
Yeah. And so they go over, and this is Quentin Tarantino playing Jimmy.
Yeah.
And this is the Bonnie situation.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
His wife Bonnie works overnight as a nurse.
Yes.
And meanwhile, they're trying to clean themselves up. They've got blood everywhere. They've got blood, and it's like
he's made them coffee. And first they're in the bathroom. They're trying to clean each other, at least clean their hands and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And there's a whole confrontation with Jules and Vince about, he's getting blood on all the linens, Vince is, and Jules is trying to tell him, is like, when I clean my hands, the towel didn't look like a goddamn maxi pad, right? It's like you saw me clean them. No, I saw you get them wet.
Yeah. We use the same soap.
It's so good.
Yeah.
But anyway, now they're in the kitchen and they're drinking coffee, and Sam, Jules is trying to keep the tension down, and he's commenting on
how good the coffee
good the coffee is. Yes.
It's like, I fucking know it's
how good the coffee is. I buy the coffee because when Bonnie buys coffee, she buys shit. I buy the good stuff because I want to taste my coffee.
Yeah, it's like there is no de-escalating the situation. They've come in with blood all over themselves, blood all over the back of the car. They want to use his garage.
Yeah. And this is where we have the most controversial scene in the movie.
Yeah, so this is where he constantly drops the N-word.
3 times. 3 times.
Is it just 3 times?
It feels like it's so much more. It feels like more. It's 3 times. Like I counted. Yep.
And this kind of goes back to what I was saying. I guess there are 2 instances in which it's used derogatorily. Because Maynard, when he tells Bruce Willis to take his foot off of Marcellus,
yes,
that's the other time. But
yes,
here it's like
in
not
this
defending
moment,
it's not derogatory, at least not in intention. It is, like I said, it's the use of. It's like not only is it the N-word, but it's also an N-word for this group of people.
Now, I think it's a little bit more than that too. I think it's probably, what's his name in the movie?
Jimmy,
yeah. Don't Jimmy me, Jules. I think it's probably Jimmy expressing his outrage. Right?
Sure. There is outrage there too. I mean,
and he has a familiarity with Jules already.
Yeah, they were partners at one point.
Right. So yeah, but it's still.
It's not right. It's not
right.
great. 30 years ago, it probably would have been more common.
Well,
and certainly, if you go 20 years before that, it would have played out exactly like this in 1974.
Yeah. Would have. It definitely would have. Like, I agree with that. And, but even Samuel Jackson was kind of like, you shouldn't say these words. This word. Like, you shouldn't do it. And I guess, like, I don't know if this is true or not, but this is what I read from someone who saw an old interview with Samuel Jackson, was that Samuel Jackson was the one who suggested that Quentin Tarantino cast a black woman as his wife, to kind of take the edge off of it a little bit, which I don't know if that really does.
It does, yeah.
It kind of creates another weird problem, in my opinion, but...
hey, my name's Paul, and this shit's between y'all.
Yeah. So, I mean...
Anyway, sure. I don't want to get into it any more than just acknowledging that this is kind of a gross part of the movie.
It's problematic scene, and especially since Tarantino is... he's not a great actor either, so it just doesn't feel like acting. It feels it feels like that I'm going to shock people edgelord moment.
Yeah,
in a very, very inappropriate way, which you should never do.
Yeah. He is definitely
it honestly
a little
would
edgy
be
boy.
It would be less like, I don't think we'd be talking about it as much if he had just cast somebody else as Jimmy.
Sure.
Right?
Oh yeah,
Probably.
I mean, yeah. If that role went to Chris Rock, it's a whole different thing.
I don't even think it has to be a person of color. If it went to another white person, I don't think we'd be talking about it as much.
Yeah, if it was Michael Madsen, we'd be like, well, that's Michael Madsen.
Exactly. Oh my God, Michael Madsen would have been perfect.
Yes,
he would have been perfect for Jimmy.
Yeah.
Oh my God. In fact, I want it now to be Michael Madsen.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm just going to only imagine Michael Madsen, Michael Rappaport. I want Michael Rappaport. That's who I was thinking.
Oh,
you said Michael Madsen. I know you hate Michael Rappaport. No, you said Michael Madsen, and I thought Michael
Rappaport would be even more perfect, because I'd be like, I hate him anyway.
Fucking perfect, though.
Yeah.
But
anyway.
So they decide. So Jules calls up Marcellus and it's like, hey, we got a problem here, and we got to resolve this. It's like, it's high tension over here. And like, he actually kind of gives it to Marcellus a little bit, to which Marcellus is like, hey, he says what Jules wants him to say.
Yeah.
And
then he said, I'm sending the wolf.
And he's like, well,
and he's like, shit. That's all you had to say.
Yeah.
I love that line.
It's so good.
I don't even know if I can comment on this, because he doesn't say the N-word.
No.
He says another variation of it. I don't know if I
Oh yeah,
allowed to say.
right. That's another. Yeah, I mean that's another.
There's like
level to that.
reverence from him to Marcellus in that.
Yep.
Not something that I would say, but there's
Right,
like reverence there.
Nope. Yep. I know exactly what you're saying there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And see, this is again where I say there's a little bit of weird time dilation here because again, this is ostensibly about 8:30 in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Marcellus and Mia are poolside. Marcellus is fully dressed.
Oh, that's true. That's weird.
And then we go to the wolf, who is still having a cocktail party.
I don't think it's a
no, it's not a cocktail party. It's like a Jewish. What do you call those?
A bar mitzvah.
I think it's a bar mitzvah.
It's a bar mitzvah.
But still, it's like 8:30
like
in the morning,
it
and people are in
morning.
formal wear. It's like that's a bit early for a bar mitzvah.
I kind of get the sense that the wolf in a tuxedo, like
he's probably always wearing a tuxedo.
He's a tuxedo guy, for sure. Yeah,
sure.
He's always overdressed.
But you see the woman also in the formal gown.
Yeah,
too. It's like, wow. It's like, are they going to the Oscars? What's going? It's like
right.
It's a little early here.
It
you
is
guys
kind
haven't been nominated.
I always thought it was like maybe I guess bar mitzvah makes the most sense, probably.
That's what I always think.
Or a
it
baptism
is.
or something. But still, a tuxedo is like not.
It's overdressed.
It's very early for whatever's happening.
Whatever's going on. It's 8:30 in the morning, and people are fully dressed and dressed to the nines over there. So anyway, so he says, okay, and he's taking all of his notes about who's what, who's who, where are we going. Okay, that's Toluca Lake. That's 30 minutes from here. I'll be there in 10 minutes. The subtitle reads, or the Chiron reads, 9 minutes 37 seconds later.
Yep.
And he's like pulling up in his Acura. He's very specific that he drives an Acura.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
Loves his Acura.
And then so he shows up and he tells he rings the doorbell and is like, "Oh, you must be Jimmy. I'm Mr. Wolf." And Mr. Wolf, come on in. And he's like, "Okay, you are," because he writes down the Jules is black and Vincent's white.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he writes Bonnie wife or something like that. Like he writes something next to her name.
And you have to understand
body, like head missing or something like that.
Yes, dead body, head missing. And so he's very specific and he's very articulate. So he comes over and he basically says, okay, this is what needs to happen. We need to do this, 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 and this. You guys do this. I'm going to do this. Jimmy, I need linens, darker the better, because what we need to do is we need to sop up the pools of blood and cover the blood spray. And we got a place that we'll take the car.
I just want to mention one thing here. When he asks Jimmy for the cup of coffee and he goes into the house and he takes a sip and he just turns around like he's going to talk about it, and then he just raises his glass. Yeah. I'm like, that is perfection.
He gives him a nod too, like,
yeah, it's like, perfection.
This is good shit.
Yeah, it's like he already knows what he already knows that guy buys the coffee.
But it's brevity,
lots of cream, lots of sugar too.
It's brevity and concise actions.
Perfect
with him. Yeah,
and
he doesn't.
And he also he's curt, but he's also like he says to Vincent.
If I'm short with you, it's because time is at the essence.
Right. Yes. But he's also exceptionally like how kind he is to Jimmy is also very much part of who he is. And we see that later when Julia Sweeney. I love when Julia Sweeney shows up in anything.
Yeah.
But you see how he treats her. And it's like, this guy is the fucking greatest. It's like the fucking wolf, man.
Yeah, he's the wolf. He's the wolf for a reason.
He solves problems.
Yes, he is. And he's the best at it. And so he basically, this is where you get. So Jules and Vincent are in the car and Jules is in the back seat. And,
oh man! You're in the red.
I'm mushroom cloud laying motherfucker. Every time my fingers touch brain, I'm Superfly TNT. I'm the guns of the Navarro.
Fucking so good.
Why am I in the back seat?
You get back here. I'm gonna clean off the windows.
Yeah.
There's a look that Travolta gives when the wolf checks the car. and it looks good. And Travolta just has this prideful fucking look in his eyes. I'm like, that is so it's like a half a second look.
Yeah.
He gives. I'm like, it's so good.
And then he's still trying to make up for kind of spouting off at him earlier when he's like, you know, a please would be nice. You know, how about and it's like when the wolf's like, it's like I'm only curt because time is of the essence. Yeah.
But then they get washed off in the front yard. And he ends up, Jason, did you notice he was wearing a banana slugs?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, Santa Cruz. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, Santa Cruz banana slugs.
Kills me.
Well, and then he's like, "What? I don't know what they look like, Jimmy. What do they look like? They look like dorks."
It's like, motherfucker, they're your clothes.
But no, the wolf just kind of like, yes, dorks. Yeah.
All right, let's stop jerking ourselves off.
So Vincent's got to follow in the actor, and if it comes back any different way, there'll be two bodies that they have to get rid of. And then so they show up at the junkyard where they're going to get rid of the cars, and Julia Sweeney comes out. It's like, oh, this is my lady. It's like, this is all going to be hers one day. You know, she's like,
all this will be hers.
Yeah, and he's going to take her to breakfast, and I don't know. I can't remember if it's Vincent or Jules who asks, like, well, aren't we going to get a ride?
No, he says, you guys, I can probably give you a ride on the way.
Oh, that's right. Where do you go?
Poof, I see your future. It's a cab ride. Yep. Move out of the sticks, men or gentlemen or something.
Yeah, because Jules lives in Inglewood. And I don't remember where Vincent lives. But
and just because you are a character doesn't mean you have character.
Yes, I love that. But then they end up getting this together.
Feeling like some breakfast. Want to get breakfast with me? Cool.
And it's a very familiar place.
Sure is.
Yeah, sure is. But you know what? Bacon tastes good. Pork chops taste good.
Yeah.
But
the
Jules,
I wouldn't know because I'm never going to eat the filthy motherfucker.
Well, what about dogs? Would you call dogs filthy?
No, but dogs have a personality. Personality goes a long way. Oh, so what you're saying is that if a pig had a better personality, it would cease to be a filthy animal.
He's going to have a way better personality than that Arnold motherfucker on Green Acres.
On Green Acres. That's good, man. You're finally lightening it up. That's good. That's good.
So,
You've been sitting over there all morose. What you been thinking about? Well,
hey, he's thinking about that miracle.
I just been thinking about the miracle we witnessed. The miracle you witnessed. I witnessed a freak occurrence.
Yeah. But eventually they talk a little bit about what life is going to be like for them. For one, it's going to be retirement. For the other, it's not much longer.
I'm just going to walk the earth like Kane from Kung Fu.
Yep.
No, what you're going to be is a bum.
Is a bum. They got a word for people without jobs. They're called bums.
So he's like, I got to go to the bathroom. Again, nothing good happens when he goes to the bathroom.
But this is where I think, and I know what you were saying earlier, and I don't mean to belabor this, the order of the film does matter. Because while this whole conversation is going on, you know that Travolta died. And the fact that he is not accepting the second chance of life as a miracle is important.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Because he dies later in the day.
Yeah.
So having that information makes this conversation carry a lot more weight.
If he had been the one who went in and told Marcellus Wallace that he retired, he'd still be alive.
Yeah. Yes.
No, and that's, I mean, that's fair because they are about to go see Marcellus very shortly.
Absolutely.
Because this is why they're dressed like goofballs.
Right.
But I mean, but what I'm saying is that it's like,
you don't have to defend it. I know it's a narrative, not a narrative problem. But it is important in the delivery.
It's important. There's thematic weight to that.
Yes.
And the thematic weight is specific to this moment. But otherwise, knowing that the movie's told from these different stories, from these different points of view, and the fact that they are chaptered does kind of like, okay, yeah, it's just told out of order, and then this is where they intersect. But yeah, anyway. So, so he says, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And this is when everything launches from the very opening of the movie.
Yep.
where now Honey Bunny and Pumpkin are gonna, gonna hold the place up, and basically they eventually come over to Jules, or the Tim Roth comes over to Jules, and he's like, "All right, well, I'm gonna give you my wallet." And he's like, "I want the briefcase too." And it's like, "Well, I'm sorry, I can't do that. That belongs to my boss."
It's his dirty laundry.
It's his dirty laundry. And he's like, "Oh, your boss makes you do his laundry?" And he's like, "Yeah, now that you're talking about it, yeah, it's kind of like, sounds like a shitty job."
Sounds like a shit job.
But he says, he lets him look into the, into the case. And he's also is like, "Wow, that's pretty fucking cool."
And he's like, "Is that what I think it is?"
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Which I'll reveal very soon.
Yeah, very soon. Very soon. So anyway, he says, "Yeah, well, but I can't let you take it. This is, and he basically turns the tables on. He calls him Ringo. He turns the tables on Tim Roth, and he basically holds the gun. He pulls out his gun and holds it to him, and he's like, "All right, well, let's have a conversation here." And Honey Bunny is losing it. He's like, "We got to be like Fonzie's." And what's Fonzie? Fonzie's cool.
Fonzie's cool.
Cool.
So we all got to be cool. Just, you can keep the gun on me, but you got to be cool. And so basically, because like when she's yelling, he even was like, when you basically saying when you escalate, I get nervous. And that's not going to be good.
when people get nervous, when motherfuckers get nervous, other motherfuckers get hurt. Something like that.
Yep.
Get shot, I think, but yeah.
Yeah, shot. And then he has Tim or Ringo sit down and he explains his Ezekiel 25:17.
Yep.
And he's like, normally, or whatever, he tells the whole story. And then at the end, he's like, I'm the tyranny of men. You were the weak, but I'm trying real hard to be the shepherd.
Yeah.
This is like talking about like his transformation, like earlier, hours earlier in the day, you'd be dead right now. But I witnessed a miracle. I'm a changed man, and I'm going to try to help you.
Yeah.
But
It's
give me
like,
my bad motherfucker.
Yeah. It's like, I want my wallet back. And he's like, which wallet is that? The one that says bad motherfucker. And it's so great because I think
whether or not he witnessed a miracle, he has been faced with his own mortality.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Yes.
Well, and, and he even says this, like, most of the time, anybody who heard that whole thing
means your ass.
Yeah, you're dead. I just thought it was fucking cool thing. It was like some fucking mean ass shit to say to somebody before I blew him away. But anyway, he's like, yeah, I want my wallet back. Which one's that? It's the one that says bad motherfucker. The first time I saw it, it's like, oh, that's just a funny line. And then he actually has a wallet that says bad motherfucker. And I fucking lost my brain.
It's the best. The first time I saw that, I lost my mind.
Yeah.
That's my
so
bad motherfucker.
funny.
That's right.
It's so fun. That's my bad motherfucker.
Open it up and take the money out. How much money is in there? $1,500. You can keep the money. I don't care about the money. And like by this time, Jules has come out. He's got, or Vincent's come out.
Vincent, if you give him that money, I'll shoot them on general principle.
Right. And he's got a gun to Honey Bunny, but he's like, he's not going to do anything. You just have to keep your gun on me.
Vincent,
so I know
be
that
cool.
we're cool. Yeah. Which is funny.
Yeah, that's when he says, I'm buying his life with this money, and he explains that whole
I'm getting
thing.
something for this. Yep.
I'm getting something from this. So, and basically they send them out and it's all de-escalated, except for he's like, you keep everybody's shit. I don't care about that. You just leave, basically.
We should probably get out of here.
Yeah, Vince is like, we should probably leave.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah. And so
and that's the movie. That's a wrap.
That's it. Because
they put their guns in their waist belts,
so
and they fucking basically, kind of do their walk out the. It's like fucking Travolta and his struts, man. His cinematic struts are ridiculous and amazing all at the same time. So so that is it.
That's Pulp Fiction. We did it. We did it in under The runtime
The
too.
runtime, yeah,
Yeah.
we're at 204-ish.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this movie is a very, very good movie. I think, knowing, like, do I think that it should have won Best Picture over something as big as Forrest Gump? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it lived far more in how it influenced the rest of the 90s and the early 2000s than,
It's a way more culturally significant movie.
sure. Forrest Gump was the feel good movie. This one is the game changer, right?
That was a stacked year. I mean, that's also the year that Shawshank Redemption lost. I mean,
Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption. You ask 100 people on the street what their favorite movie is, and probably like 40 to 60 are going to say the Shawshank Redemption. I mean, it's a lot. That's a lot of people. Yeah. It's been the highest rated movie on IMDb for decades.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great fucking movie.
Yeah, it is. I like Quiz Show too.
I've only seen Quiz Show, but
I get it. I mean, Forrest Gump was also like a weird, similar phenomenon, but it's completely different.
Every one of the nominees were completely different.
Yeah.
From the other. And
Forrest Gump, man.
Oh my God.
Fucking Forrest Gump.
God, we really missed out on Forrest Gump.
But I think in some ways the right award always goes to the right movie sometimes, and always sometimes. And screenplay was a no-brainer on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really was.
Four Weddings and a Funeral was the other nominee, which is just that's every one of those movies are different.
I liked that movie at the time. I haven't seen it to know if
it's been a long time since I've seen that. Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, I've seen all 5 of those movies. I don't know if anything changes. I mean, to me, Pulp Fiction is the best of the 5.
I don't know, man. Shawshank is really fucking good. I really
like it too. I do think, though, like culturally, Pulp Fiction. I didn't watch Shawshank Redemption and be like, this has changed my entire outlook on.
No, this is a significant, important movie. I just can't say it's categorically better than Shawshank Redemption.
Fair. But I also the first time I saw Shawshank Redemption, I vividly remember. I don't actually remember the first time I watched Pulp Fiction, which is weird. I don't. But I do. I did have like an experience with Shawshank where I was like, holy shit, this is a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff Bo's mom took me to the theater with Jeff, his sister, and Ian because I was underage. I was the only, Jeff's sister was too at the time. So I watched it with
Tammy?
Yeah, Tammy Bo, Mrs. Bo, Jeff, and Ian in the theater, and I was blown away.
Yeah, I didn't see it in theater. This was around that time where I would buy VHS tapes when they came on sale, sight unseen, because I'd heard about them.
Yeah.
And this is when I bought and just watched on my own. But I don't actually remember the experience of watching it other than impressions.
Yeah.
The first time. Yeah.
So, anything else? Because...
No, I mean, I think this is, mileage will vary for some people, right? The younger the audience, the more difficult they're gonna have. I think the more film literate people will have less problem.
Yeah, I wonder if it's the kind of movie that you watch today as a young person who doesn't have film literacy, if they watch it today and try to understand its context. Because if you try to understand its context, there is a rich history of that you can uncover and learn, and will probably be better for it. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I would hate to see this movie kind of buried by the next generation. I don't think it deserves that. I think its postmodern pastiche is so rich that it can be an entryway into a lot of really other rich genres of film.
I would be, and this is the last thing I'll say about this. My belief is if you have a lot of film literacy, you'll understand what this movie is doing and look past the idea of like, yes, there are a lot of iffy lines. There are a lot of iffy things in this movie. However, I also think that the less online you are, quote unquote, online, the more likely you will understand the timing of this movie and the context within that, and then be able to open the door and say, oh, this is a pastiche of another time.
Right.
So it's like,
Right.
the more time you spend on Twitter or X or Elon's fucking toilet
I don't know if
paper,
that's true for our teens today, but
online people
I'm around these kids every day that are not online, and they would take issue with a lot of stuff in this movie.
Well,
me.
well, that's fair. I mean, people are going to take issues with things in general, right? But I'm saying,
no, I mean legitimately. Never mind. I don't want to belabor this.
Yeah.
I just know my children, when they watch this, they're going to hate some of it. They might like the movie, but they are immediately going to hate some of it.
Yeah, but again, context is everything.
Right.
Right? It is. And I think that sometimes context is forgotten for just immediate reaction, right?
Yeah.
And yes, it's probably a totally natural thing to watch a lot of this movie today as a young person and be like, whoa, that's fucked up, right? That it would be a natural reaction. But I think if you take the time to really uncover like what is really what it's really commenting on in film history, I think that there's a lot of really interesting richness.
Well, I would even argue that 30 years ago, people were saying, "Whoa, that's fucked up."
Well, yeah, they were
because that's probably why it lost the Best Picture.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're not going to give the Best Picture to a movie with a GIMP.
With just the violence that's in it.
Yeah, and all of the language. Yeah, this is not going to happen. It's just not. It's perfect for the Palme d'Or, which it won.
Right.
It's perfect for the Palme d'Or, but it's not going to win Best Picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
I don't know. Still, great movie. I think it stands the test of time. I think it is an important movie. I think it's a movie that should continue to be taught in film schools and screenplay, any kind of screenplay kind of education. Yeah.
And it's
100%.
firmly entrenched. It's firmly entrenched in film history. Like, I'm sorry, but you cannot talk about the history of film without talking about Pulp Fiction.
True.
Right. And I think we have another one coming up next week. Should we reveal that?
Yes. Sure, reveal.
Okay, so this is one next week that Pulp Fiction's 300 episodes overdue, probably. I also feel like next week's is 300 episodes probably overdue because it's another really, really important movie for our generation in terms of the timing and where we would have been in our lives at that time that we probably first saw it. And we are going to watch. We're going to stay in 1994. We're going to stay with Miramax. We're going to watch Kevin Smith's Clerks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom.
And so that is going to be next. That's going to be on Valentine's Day. Kind of perfect.
Yeah.
All things considered with what Dante's dealing with.
I mean, 37 dicks,
37. Anyway. So, that is on February 14th. Check that out. And you can find that at filmseizure.com. You can also go there to find all the places that you can follow us. Also at filmseizure.com on Monday, I have a new episode of Monster Mondays, and it is for the movie Atragon, which is one of those Japanese monster movies from Toho that does not feature Godzilla, but does feature Manda, who will show up in Godzilla movies after this. But anyway, that is this upcoming Monday, the 12th. And filmseizure.com for that. This upcoming Friday at my website, bmovieanima.com, you can check out my review of Amazon Jail 2, which is not a good movie. It is actually a really bad movie.
No.
It's a very bad movie. Amazon Jail is good. Amazon Jail 2, bad. Anyway. And that's coming from a guy who likes women in prison movies, but there's no prison in this movie, so fuck it. It's bad. Anyway, check that out. But most importantly, come check out our episode on Clerks. So until then, I am Jeff Arbuckle.
I'm Chuck Moore.
Chuck, what's in the case?
Oh, fuck, I was hoping you wouldn't call me out. A lie.
A lie?
Yeah. There's nothing in the case.
I'm Jason Oliver, and you've been listening to Film Seizure.